And welcome to my video lecture on if and else if statements and nested if statements in PHP. So here we see our PHP code, and my PHP index PHP file is using an if statement to test to see if a variable junk has been set. A very common thing to do at the beginning of a file, especially if you're expecting this file to react to variables being set in other files. So here we're looking to see if junk was set, and if it was, that we would put some kind of a message, some kind of value into a message variable that would then get displayed to the user in our HTML section of the code. Here we have we're testing to see if junk is set. Perhaps we want to do more than just test if junk is set. We want to leave the else, but perhaps we want to do an else if. For all intents and purposes, this is just another test. It's a nested if. It's another test that we're going to perform. So now we're going to see if something else is set. Or actually, if junk is set, then we're going to set up the message to be, yes, indeed, junk is set. So we're going to set up another variable or another test to try to see if something else is set. In this case, we'll test first name, since that's already here. So I'm going to test to see if first name is set. Then we follow that with the curly braces. Curly braces denote the end and beginning of our if blocks. So here we're doing another test. We're going to want to put a message in here. So we're going to set up our message variable, and we're going to say, yes, indeed, first name is set. So if junk isn't set, if junk is set, which right now it's not, we're going to get the message that yes, indeed, junk is set. So let's make that set for now. So we can see that this message is going to appear, and that none of these messages are going to appear. So what an if block does is an if block tests things, and it tests the first one. If the first one is true, it performs that, it executes that code, and then it doesn't execute any of the rest of it. So when using if statements, if you know beforehand which of these conditions is going to be true the most often, you want to test those at the beginning. The most often one that's true should be tested first, and then the next one, and then the next one, and the next one in some kind of hierarchy, so that you're not testing all of these conditions when you know most of the time one is usually true. So in this case, we're going to test to see if junk is set, and then we'll see what happens when it is. So here, we run that, and we get, yes, indeed, junk is set. Fabulous. Now, let's comment out that line that sets the junk variable. We'll save that, and then we'll see what happens. And we get, yes, indeed, first name is set, because what happens is this condition gets tested and is false. So this block of code does not get executed. Then we have an else if this test. And then this test was tested, and then we got our message that, yes, indeed, first name is set. Now, if all of these are false, we have a catch-all in this else statement. So if none of these have been set, we get our else. So let's make sure that that actually happens. Undefined variable first name. So I actually commented out, oh, so I'm showing it in my HTML, which is giving me that error because I'm referencing a variable that hasn't been set actually in the code. So, but we did get our error message. No, junk is not set, which is what our else statement does. Let's put first name back in there so we don't get that error again. So what we can also do is we can have what are known as nested ifs. So we can test this And then we can, then if this is true, we can test something else. So let's set that up so that that's true. And then instead of this being an else if, we can nest this. So then here, this if statement gets tested when this is true. Then I'll close the curly braces. So this, see, notice if I click here, this is where this if block ends. So all of this code is only going to get executed if junk is set. So if junk is set is true, this message is going to appear, then this if statement is going to get tested. This is what's known as a nested if, and this if is only going to get tested if this outer if is true. So you want to use that in certain circumstances. This, not so much, but it's a good way to at least show you how it operates. So what we're expecting now, that junk is set and first name is set. When we run this code, we're expecting this message. And what's going to happen? We're going to have two different messages. So let's do message 1. So set up message 1, come down here, and then we'll display message 1. And we don't need these breaks down here. Okay, so you understand that if this ran, this would overwrite what was in message, and then message would only be yes indeed first name is set, and we wouldn't actually see what we're expecting to see. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back to Firefox, and I'll rerun this. I get my Devlin, and yes indeed junk is set, and I also get yes indeed first name is set, which is what I was expecting. So that is the use of if and else if and nested if statements. And hopefully now that you've watched this video, you will be able to incorporate these control structures into your code.